I would say if you find it and you want a copy, go down to Portland to the Maine Historical Society, and you can print it off of their database. Yeah. So as you go back, you might find something in Sanborn. If you want to find more of the history, look in the 1873 book, and then another.
You were going to mention the history in the record book.
Oh yes, thank you. Yep.
Because I've used it a lot. Yeah.
No, good point. Also in the back of the 1873 book is a history. It's the official title here is Atlas and History of Androscoggin County, Maine. And there is interesting information in there that you might not find in other places. Okay, about local business people, clergy people, and the history of different institutions in this area. And at about that time, in 1875, there was a bird's eye view map done of Lewiston and Auburn. So if you want to get an overall perspective and see what specific buildings might have looked like, this is an excellent resource. It's I found it to be, it's an exceptionally detailed drawing, but down to the building, it's pretty accurate. You want to find out whether there was a 2-story or a 3-story building, you may be able to discern that on this map. And again, it'll show you how things have changed over time. I spoke of the Irish patches. That was one of my projects for several months, was investigating these Irish patches and trying to pin down where they actually were. They're listed in the directories, but the Sanborn maps didn't show them, because this was the low-life immigrant trash that was in the town, and they weren't much interested in these shoddy buildings and whatever shacks and whatever that they were living in at the time. And so
they probably didn't have insurance.
well, that too. That too, but they give a lot of detail on a lot of other buildings that probably didn't have insurance too, but they just left these whole areas blank, and it was difficult to determine. But then looking at this one, you can see where those buildings were and what they might have looked like. Okay, so a lot of detail there that's in the bird's eye map. If you want to go back farther, there is an 1850 map as well, but it's down at the Historical Society of Lewiston and Auburn. So if you're looking at streets, you want to see how the streets developed and then some of the neighborhoods in the area developed. That would be the sequence to go. Going backwards, Sanborn, 1873, bird's eye view, and then the 1850 map down at the Historical Society. Okay. I'll try not to eat into Deb's time here too much. Somebody cut me off if I'm going too long, all right? County histories, you got that. Bev is probably going to talk about the Revolutionary War records, so I'm just going to mention where they're at here. The Daughters of the American Revolution have a whole long series of books that will give you information on specific individuals and their Revolutionary War ancestors, and those are located here. Beth will probably talk more about that later. There's also some large collections of American biographies here. It's a shot in the dark. Most of us, didn't have really famous people or really wealthy people. Most of us were, some of the daughters of immigrant families that are either lower class or middle class, perhaps, and may not have been able to, to have genealogies done. But just so that they're here, and it might be worth a shot. There are some collections here of genealogies on different families. Look for the index if it has one, and it will cut down on your time.
Do you have any diaries?
Not here. The Historical Society in the county building has some diaries. Yeah. Okay, so after city directories, the next really useful resource that you may or may not know about are city reports. And Auburn's city reports are, on this case, on the wall. They're thin volumes, one per year, more or less. And the way that they're very useful, as I discovered, is that they list a lot of people by name. If anybody at all worked for the city, even very briefly, and earned so much as 1 cent, they will be listed in that year's report. Okay? So for me, research